For decades, fat has been, well, the ultimate dietary villain, hasn't it? Demonized, linked to weight gain, chronic disease, everything.
Absolutely.
But what if, and this is a big what if that whole idea is actually the main thing holding your health back? What if embracing the right kinds of fat is actually this powerful, maybe surprising key to unlocking stable energy, sustainable weight management, and just vibrant health?
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're taking a deep dive into your sources. We've got insights from the Mayo Clinic, Harvard Health, a wellness perspective too.
Okay.
The goal is really to bust those common myths and, reveal the truth about fat, how it really impacts your body, why it's essential, and crucially, how you can strategically use it to fuel your body, not just, store it.
Right. So let's unpack all of this. Our mission really is to demystify this critical macronutrient, shift the perspective from fear to empowerment.
Exactly. Informed empowerment.
And give you practical evidence-based strategies to really transform your understanding of fat and hopefully revolutionize your health from the inside out.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay, so before we even get into good versus bad fats, maybe we need a reset, a mindset reset.
Definitely.
We've all been told, cut the fat. But the sources you looked at, they're pretty clear, right? Fat is far from a villain.
Far from it. It's absolutely vital for so many bodily functions. And cutting it out completely, that can seriously backfire on your health, on your weight goals.
So what's so remarkable about fat that maybe we've missed?
Well, the first thing I think is its energy density. It's incredible. Fat isn't just, something stored away for later.
Right.
It's a major source of sustained energy. We're talking 9 calories per gram. That's more than double carbs or protein.
Wow, double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means steady, long-lasting fuel helps prevent those awful energy crashes, you know?
The 3 p.m. slump.
Exactly. Think about how you feel after, say, a sugary donut versus a handful of almonds. That crash, healthy fats smooth that out.
That's huge.
Yeah.
For just daily energy levels. But what about something maybe more fundamental, like hormones? Are fats involved there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really crucial point the sources make. Fats are literally the building blocks for many key hormones.
Building blocks?
Yes, like sex hormones, stress hormones. Without enough healthy fats in your diet, your hormonal balance can really suffer. And that impacts metabolism, fertility, even your mood. It's foundational stuff.
Okay, that's big. And when we eat, we want to get the most out of our food, right? Does fat help with absorbing other nutrients?
It definitely does. You can think of healthy fats as the VIP pass for certain vitamins.
Okay.
They're absolutely critical for absorbing fat-soluble vitamins. That's A, D, E, and K. Without a healthy fat eaten alongside your salad, for example, you're basically letting those crucial vitamins just pass right through you. Unabsorbed, it's a real missed opportunity.
So eating your salad dressing isn't just for taste?
If it's a healthy one, like olive oil-based, exactly. It's boosting nutrient uptake.
Okay, got it. Now, for a lot of our listeners, weight management is, a big goal. What did the deep dive reveal about fat's role in feeling full?
Satiety.
Oh, this is huge for weight management. Fat plays an absolutely massive role in satiety and fullness.
How does it do that?
It actually slows down digestion. So food stays in your stomach longer, keeping you feeling fuller, more satisfied for a longer period. Which naturally helps reduce cravings and can prevent overeating later. It's not just about the calories fat contains. It's about that deep satisfaction it provides.
Interesting. So pulling these different threads together now, energy, hormones, nutrients, satiety.
Yeah.
What about the brain? What's the connection there?
Well, stepping back for the bigger picture, your brain, it's nearly 60% fat.
60%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essential fatty acids, the ones your body can't make, are absolutely crucial for your brain's structure, for cognitive function, memory, mood regulation.
So clearer thinking, better focus.
Exactly. Better focus, improved overall mental well-being. It's really quite profound.
And you mentioned something about cells earlier. Right, the most foundational point maybe. Every single cell in your body has a membrane, an outer layer made of fat.
Every cell.
Every cell. This membrane controls everything that goes in and out. It protects the cell, allows cells to communicate properly. And beyond that, fat is also essential for things like blood clotting, muscle movement, even regulating inflammation.
Wow. So it's everywhere, doing everything.
Pretty much. So the takeaway is clear. Fat isn't just okay, it's a fundamental hero for your body. Deeply involved in basically every system.
Okay, so it's foundational. The building blocks, that's a huge shift in perspective. But if fat's the hero, we definitely need to know which fats wear the cape, right? And which ones might be secretly working against us.
Exactly. The distinction is key.
So let's start with the absolute worst offenders. Which ones should we just avoid, period?
Your sources are completely unanimous on this one. The undisputed worst type of dietary fat is artificially created trans fat. Totally artificial. It's a byproduct of a process called hydrogenation. They use it to turn liquid oils into solids, make them last longer on the shelf.
Like in old margarines.
Exactly. Early margarines, vegetable shortening, that kind of thing. But then they started putting them in everything.
Yeah, I remember. Cookies, pastries.
Commercial baked goods, fast food French fries, you name it. The good news is they're now officially banned in the U.S. and many other countries.
That is good news.
It is, but it's worth noting if you're traveling internationally, you might still encounter them, so checking labels for partially hydrogenated oil is still a smart move outside those banned regions.
Good tip. And health-wise, what do these things actually do?
Oh, they're devastating, even in small amounts. Eating foods with trans fats significantly increases your harmful LDL cholesterol. The bad stuff.
Okay.
And it reduces the beneficial HDL cholesterol, the good stuff. They are highly inflammatory.
Inflammation. That seems linked to everything these days.
It really is. Inflammation is linked to heart disease, stroke, diabetes, other chronic conditions. And trans fats are a major driver. Get this. For every 2% of your daily calories that come from trans fat, your risk of heart disease goes up by 23%.
23%? Yeah. From just 2%?
Yeah. It's staggering. They also contribute to insulin resistance, which increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. There's really no gray area here. These are fats to eliminate completely.
Okay, message received on trans fats. What's next on the avoid list?
Next up are certain processed vegetable oils that are really high in omega-6 fatty acids.
Like what kinds?
We're talking about things like soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower, safflower, cottonseed oil, even canola oil when it's highly processed and consumed in large amounts.
Well, wait, aren't omega-6s essential?
They are. Some omega-6 is essential. Yeah. But the problem is our modern diet. We consume these oils in massive quantities, usually hidden in processed foods.
Ah, the processed food connection.
Yeah, right. And this creates a huge imbalance with the omega-3 fatty acids, which are anti-inflammatory. This high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio actively promotes systemic inflammation throughout the body.
So it's the ratio that's the problem.
It's a major part of the problem, yes. The sheer quantity and the resulting imbalance.
Okay. Anything else in the avoid or limit category?
Well, finally, we should mention excessive amounts of low-quality saturated fats.
Low quality?
Yeah, particularly those found in highly processed meats. Think hot dogs, bacon, certain deli meats, or a lot of fast food. These can also contribute to inflammation and negative health outcomes. It really comes down to the quality and the context.
Quality and context, okay. Which actually brings us neatly to the next category, the in-between fats. Yeah. Saturated fat.
Exactly. The ones that have had, let's say, a complicated history.
Right. For years, they were just lumped in with trans fats as bad. But the sources suggest it's more nuanced now.
Much more nuanced. Our understanding has definitely evolved. These are the fats usually solid at room temperature. You mentioned cooled bacon grease. That's a classic example.
And they're still pretty common.
Oh, yeah. Very common in the standard American diet. You find them in fatty cuts of meat like beef, lamb, pork, especially with the skin on.
Dairy, too.
Yep, full-fat dairy products like butter, cream, whole milk, cheese, yogurt, also lard. And then there are tropical oils, coconut oil, palm kernel oil.
And in prepared foods.
Definitely. Lots of baked goods, fried foods use these fats. And combined dishes, sandwiches, burgers, tacos, pizza, they're significant sources in the U.S.
And the name saturated just refers to the chemistry, right?
Right. It just means the carbon chain in the fat molecule is holding as many hydrogen atoms as possible. It's saturated with hydrogen, makes it stable and solid.
So the traditional advice was always to limit these because of cholesterol and heart disease. Is that still the main concern?
That's still a primary consideration, yes. A diet really rich in saturated fats can drive up total cholesterol. And importantly, it can tip the balance towards more of the harmful LDL cholesterol.
The stuff that forms blockages.
Exactly. The LDL cholesterol prompts those blockages to form in arteries. And that's why most nutrition experts still recommend limiting saturated fat, generally under 10% of daily calories. Some even suggest aiming for 5% or 6%.
Okay, so the recommendation to limit them hasn't totally disappeared, but you said the picture is more nuanced. What changed?
Well, what got muddied, as one source put it, was the direct causal link between saturated fat alone and heart disease.
How so?
There was a big meta-analysis looking at 21 studies, and it suggested there wasn't actually enough evidence to conclude that saturated fat by itself increases heart disease risk.
Interesting. So it's not the fat itself, maybe.
Well, it's more about what you replace it with. This is the key insight from other meter studies.
Okay. Replacement matter.
Hugely. Replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fats like you find in olive oil, nuts, seeds, fish, that is clearly beneficial for reducing heart disease risk. Same goes for replacing it with high-fiber carbohydrates like whole grains or beans.
Look, there's a but.
There's a big but. If you replace saturated fat with highly processed carbohydrates, think white bread, sugary snacks, refined grains,
Yeah.
you could actually make things worse, potentially increasing your risk. So cutting out butter just to eat more white toast isn't a win.
Got it. That's a really important distinction. Any other potential issues with saturated fat?
There's also some limited evidence, still developing, linking high saturated fat intake, particularly when combined with high cholesterol, to an increased risk of Alzheimer's or other dementias. So the bottom line on saturated fats isn't that they're suddenly good or bad in isolation. It's about moderation, choosing quality sources like, say, grass-fed beef or whole-fat yogurt over processed meat, and critically, paying attention to what you eat instead if you do cut back.
Quality and context again. Makes sense. Okay, that clarifies the in-between beautifully. Now let's get to the really good stuff. The fats we actually want more of in our diet. The true good guys.
Yes, the heroes of the story. These are mainly fats from vegetables, nuts, seeds, and fish. And unlike saturated fats, they're usually liquid at room temperature. Think oils.
And there are different types of these good fats.
Right. Two broad categories: monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats.
Okay, let's start with monounsaturated. What are they and where do we find them?
So monounsaturated fats, chemically speaking, have just one double bond in their carbon chain. That keeps them liquid at room temp, but more stable than polyunsaturated fats.
And the sources?
Great sources include olive oil, especially extra virgin peanut oil, canola oil, though choose good quality, avocados.
Love avocados.
Me too. Also pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and nuts like almonds, cashews, peanuts, pecans. Peanut butter, too. Interestingly, they're also found in red meat and dairy, making up about half the fat content there.
Oh, really? So even in foods with saturated fat?
Yeah, most foods contain a mix of different fat types.
That's fascinating about the history, too, the 7-country study.
Oh, yeah, that was pivotal. Back in the 1960s, researchers noticed people in Greece and Italy around the Mediterranean had really low rates of heart disease.
Despite eating a relatively high-fat diet.
Exactly, that was the puzzle. And the key turned out to be their main fat source, olive oil, which is packed with monounsaturated fat.
Wow.
That finding just sparked this huge interest in olive oil and the Mediterranean diet, which, we still talk about today as one of the healthiest eating patterns. It really shifted the whole conversation about fat.
And the health benefits are pretty solid.
Very solid. Monounsaturated fats, especially from plants, are great at lowering that harmful LDL cholesterol. They can also raise the beneficial HDL cholesterol and even help improve blood sugar control.
So swapping out some saturated fat for these is a good move.
Definitely. Making that swap can lower both bad cholesterol and triglycerides. Triglycerides are another type of fat in your blood that increases risk for heart and blood vessel disease.
Okay, clear benefits for mono. What about the other category, polyunsaturated fats?
Right, polyunsaturated fats. These are actually essential fats.
Essential meaning?
Meaning your body absolutely cannot make them on its own. You must get them from the food you eat.
Okay, that sounds important. What do they do?
They're needed for so many normal body functions. Building cell membranes, like we talked about earlier. They form a protective covering around nerves. They're involved in blood clotting, muscle movement, and critically, in inflammation, both starting it when needed and resolving it.
And there are different types of these too.
Yes, two main types you've likely heard of: omega-6 fatty acids and omega-3 fatty acids.
Oh, the omegas.
The omegas. And just like with monounsaturated fats, eating polyunsaturated fats in place of saturated fats or those highly refined carbs is consistently shown to be beneficial. Reduces LDL, improves the whole cholesterol picture, lowers triglycerides.
So let's break down the omegas. Omega-6 first. Where do we find those and what's the story there, especially considering the imbalance issue we mentioned earlier?
Right. So sources of omega-6 include oils like corn oil, cottonseed, peanut oil, soybean oil, sunflower, safflower oil.
The same ones you said to limit earlier?
Some overlap, yes, especially soybean and corn oil, which are pervasive in processed foods. When these oils replace saturated fats, studies do show benefits. Lower bad cholesterol, lower triglycerides, higher good cholesterol, better blood sugar control.
But the balance is key.
The balance is absolutely key. We need some omega-6, but not the massive amounts typical in Western diets, drowning out the omega-3s.
Okay, so that brings us to the omega-3s, the superstars.
They really are often considered the superstars, yes. For omega-3s, think fatty, oily fish.
Like salmon.
Salmon is a great example. Also, anchovies, mackerel, herring, sardines, tuna. Aim for fish, lowest in mercury, of course.
And non-fish sources.
Absolutely. There are plant-based sources, too. Oils like flaxseed oil, canola oil, again, quality matters. Soybean oil contains both 6 and 3. Walnut oil, and the whole foods themselves. Flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts.
And the benefits of omega-3s are significant.
Very significant. Diets consistently high in omega-3s are strongly linked to major health benefits, like lowering blood triglycerides significantly and reducing the overall risk of heart and blood vessel diseases. They're incredibly important for brain health, too, and fighting inflammation. Truly indispensable.
Okay, this has been incredibly clarifying. We've got the bad, the in-between, the good. So what does this all mean for someone listening right now, for their health goals, for weight management? How do we actually apply this? Let's get to the actionable blueprint.
Right, let's translate this knowledge into practical steps. The big takeaway message is simple. Focus on actively eating healthy fats and consciously limiting the unhealthy ones.
So step 1.
Step 1, embrace healthy fats. At every meal, ideally. Don't be afraid of fat anymore. Include a source of those good monounsaturated or polyunsaturated fats with your meals.
Like what, practically?
Think. Half an avocado with your eggs or salad. A tablespoon of olive oil drizzled over veggies or used in dressing. A small handful of nuts or seeds as a snack or sprinkled on yogurt. A serving of fatty fish a couple of times a week.
And why at every meal?
It really boosts that satiety factor we talked about. Slows digestion, keeps you full and satisfied. It honestly changes how you feel after eating, less likely to snack mindlessly later.
Okay, embrace the good fats. What's next?
Next, and this is foundational, prioritize whole, unprocessed foods.
Why is that so important for fat intake?
It's honestly the simplest, most effective way to automatically avoid the bad fats. Processed foods, packaged snacks, fast foods, they are almost always loaded with those unhealthy processed vegetable oils high in omega-6 and sometimes still contain hidden trans fats, especially outside the U.S. Eating whole foods bypasses most of that.
Makes sense. Cut out the processed stuff, cut out the bad fats.
Largely, yes. And it also naturally increases your intake of fiber and other nutrients.
Okay, and you mentioned the omega balance earlier. How do we actively manage that?
Yeah, this is crucial. Actively work to improve your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. That means consciously increasing your omega-3s, more fatty fish, flax, chia, walnuts.
And decreasing the omega-6s.
And actively reducing your intake of those processed vegetable oils we listed. Read labels on packaged foods. You'll be surprised where oils like soybean and corn oil show up. The goal is to get that ratio closer to, say, 1:1 or maybe 1:4 omega-6 to omega-3, not the 1:20 or even higher that's common today.
That shift alone sounds like it could make a big difference for inflammation.
A huge difference. Reducing that systemic inflammation is key for long-term health.
What about cooking? Does the oil we use matter?
Absolutely. Use high-quality cooking oils appropriate for the temperature. For lower heat cooking, salads, dressings, extra virgin olive oil is fantastic.
And for higher heat?
For higher heat cooking, things like avocado oil, coconut oil, or even butter or ghee can be good choices as they're more stable. The main thing is to ditch those big jugs of highly processed corn, soybean, or generic vegetable oil. Make that swap in your pantry.
Good practical tip. Now, a potential pitfall. Calories. Fat is calorie dense, right?
That's a critical point to remember, yes. While healthy fats are amazing for you, all fat, regardless of type, provides 9 calories per gram.
So they can add up.
They can add up quickly, even the healthy ones. For instance, a healthy snack, like a dozen walnut halves, high in good polyunsaturated fats, great for you, but it's around 160 calories. That's more than a large apple.
So portion awareness is still important?
It is, but here's the flip side. Because healthy fats are so incredibly satiating, you should really listen to your body's cues.
How so?
Pay attention to your hunger and fullness signals. You might naturally find yourself eating less overall because you feel genuinely satisfied after meals that include healthy fats. You don't need huge portions of fat to get the benefits.
So let satiety be your guide to some extent.
Exactly. Tune into those signals.
And finally, how does fat fit into the overall meal picture? Should we eat it alone?
Ideally, no. For the best results, optimal blood sugar stability, sustained energy, maximum satiety, always try to combine those healthy fats with lean protein and plenty of fiber.
Where does the fiber come from?
Fruits, vegetables, legumes, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, whole grains. That combination, fat, protein, fiber, creates a really balanced, powerful meal. It keeps you full, keeps your energy steady for hours, prevents those blood sugar spikes and crashes.
Fat, protein, fiber, the trifecta.
You got it. That's the framework for a really satisfying and healthy meal.
So putting it all together, it's not about deprivation.
Not at all. By making these strategic choices, embracing good fats, limiting bad ones, focusing on whole foods, balancing your plate, you're not just dieting in the old sense, you're fundamentally fueling your body efficiently.
And the benefits go beyond just weight.
Absolutely. You're reducing cravings, stabilizing blood sugar, lowering inflammation, supporting brain health. You're creating an optimal internal environment for your body to truly thrive. This is proactive wellness through food.
You know, changing your mindset about fat really does feel like a paradigm shift.
It really is.
Moving away from that old idea of restriction and fear towards something more like intelligent fueling, informed fueling. And when you actually do embrace healthy fats, the experience seems to be more stable energy, fewer cravings, maybe better brain function, healthier skin.
All of the above. And crucially, sustainable weight management often follows naturally because your body finally feels properly nourished and balanced. It stops sending those frantic hunger signals.
That sounds like true food freedom.
I think it is. It's about working with your body's needs, not against them.
Well, we really hope this deep dive into the world of fats has empowered everyone listening, given you the knowledge and maybe the confidence to make smarter choices for your own weight and your overall health.
That's definitely the goal, to demystify it and make it feel achievable.
So now for a final thought to take away. Based on everything we've unpacked today, what's maybe one small strategic change you listening right now will make regarding fats in your diet this week?
Yeah, just one small thing.
Maybe it's finally swapping out that old cooking oil you've been meaning to replace. Or perhaps consciously adding some omega-3s, maybe some chia seeds in your smoothie, or planning a salmon dinner.
Something concrete, something actionable.
Exactly. Just something for you to mull over and, more importantly, to apply.
Because remember, embracing the right fats isn't just a minor tweak. It's a truly powerful foundational step towards a stronger, healthier, and much more vibrant you.